Hi everybody, welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube and podcast channel. We are finally back with Premier League football. Another match preview. This one is for the Chelsea home game on Saturday, but we'll get into that in just a minute. Because before all that, I have to introduce my good friends, Daryl and Matty. Boys, welcome back to the match previews. It seems like an age since we've done one of these, and it's been even longer since I've done one because I had a little trip before the international break. Where if you haven't seen me vlog, go and watch it after this one because I took a trip to Dortmund. Matty, mate.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good. It has felt like a long time. I just wish, not to put a dampener on things, I just wish we were coming back into this reinvigorated with all our players available on the back of maybe a win, but it's not. But we'll get to that. You know what I mean? But other than that, fine. Absolutely fine. Daryl, how are you?
Hey, you know what? It's very refreshed. I think it's been a nice little week and a bit off, just not having to think about things and just letting things run that course. Yes, the injuries are piling up and God knows whatever, and the treatment is bursting full of bodies and body parts and muscle tissue and all sorts of crap. But, we're getting there and it's nice to be back. And I'm just looking forward to football again. Proper football, none of this international crap.
It was crap.
Absolutely. It was. Well, before we get into anything else, there is one more thing I need to do, and that is let you know about our sponsor. The GallowgateShots match preview is brought to you by Magpin. Magpin are the go-to site for high-quality, unofficial enamel pin badges of Newcastle United players, legends and retro kits. For more information, visit their website at magpinbadges.bigcartel.com. Right then, so Saturday, 3 p.m. It's not on UK TV, unfortunately. Daryl, I believe you have a stat for us when it comes to Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs.
So I saw a stat the other day. So I will take full responsibility if this is inaccurate, but I'm pretty sure it was that Eddie Howe hasn't lost a 3 p.m. kickoff while being Newcastle United manager. And I can't remember if that's just at home or if it's home and away. But I just think that's a very important thing to note, given how hectic the schedule has been and how often we've actually been on TV. Because since we started to gain a bit of momentum at the back end of Eddie Howe's first season, we then started to see a lot of ourselves on TV. So it's really important to note that these Saturday 3 p.m. games are Eddie Howe's bread and butter, I think.
Yeah, it's quite rare, Matty. It seems like a long time since we were last playing a Saturday 3 o'clock. Or at least it feels like it. It seems like we're on telly every single week, which, is a good thing for most and can also be a bad thing for, it's nice to play Saturday 3 o'clock, isn't it?
Well, I think it's just horses for courses, isn't it? It's purely because we're in the Champions League, baby. But it is always nice. There's something special about going up to St James's Park or at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. You know what I mean? It's the perfect time to plan your day around it, have a few beverages, and then just walk up the ground, get in there early enough. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Whether Mr. Howe can keep this remarkable, if true, Daryl, record going is another thing, though. But we shall see.
Not that we don't believe you, of course. Not that we don't believe you.
Happy to be proven wrong.
Well, we'll take a little look at Chelsea, but I think we'll focus a lot more on Newcastle, given all of the injuries and everything else that we've got to talk about. But they've seemed to find a little bit of form, Daryl. They are currently sitting in 10th, 16 points, 4 wins, 4 draws, and 4 losses. I think from what we saw last season with Chelsea, and what we maybe saw in the summer with Chelsea in the I wanted to call it the Survivor Series, whatever it was called, the Premier League Summer Slam, whatever they called it. I think we're going to see a different Chelsea.
Yeah, they really have started to click together, and I think we all accepted that at the start of the season that even though they were having a really terrible run of form, that they were definitely a side that was in transition. You had Pochettino coming in, and he needed a little while, a good couple of months, to get out his feet under the table and get the boys playing the way that he wanted them to. And it's just starting to click for them just before the break there, and they had some really good results. They came back against Arsenal. I think they were 2-0 down, or was it the other way around? Were they 2-0 up against Arsenal and they came back? to draw it.
Yeah, I think they were 2-0 up and drew, but it
Yeah,
was
they were 2-0 when Arsenal came back
the
to draw
City
it. But
game where it was 4-4.
yeah, then the City game it was 4-4, and then obviously the trip they had to not White Hart Lane, but to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where they benefited from a few VAR decisions there, but ran out 4-1 winners in the end. And again, it's something that I mentioned to you before we started recording, that when you think back to the SummerSlam Survivor Series, whatever it was,
King of the Ring.
The one thing that I noted from the game that we played out there in America was that their pace up front, even at that point, was a concern, especially for our defence. And we will get onto that, but they do have a lot of pace in their team, and they can hurt you with it as well. And we're just starting to see that come to the front now. And the likes of Sterling's and Nathan Jackson. Is it Nathan Jackson? I feel like it's
Nicholas Jackson.
Nicholas Jackson, that's the one. Don't know where Nathan came from. And and even Merdrick as well. He's, we know he's quick. So there's a lot of pace in that team, and they will be able to hurt us.
Yeah, and Matty, it's fair to say that obviously, it's no secret that Chelsea spent a lot of money, not only this summer, but seems to be the winter window before and the summer before that. They should have the players to cause us damage, and I think they've proven that with their results against Man City, against Arsenal, and against Spurs.
And if you could cut the little players out of the paper that the teams are written on and play it that way, they probably would win, Scott. But I know we've seen, they've just really struggle. I don't know if it's because of all these signings and the influx and just the lack of cohesion and team chemistry or anything like that. But yeah, they've definitely on paper got the players to really hurt us. There's, again, players in that side that we'd love to have playing for us. But at this moment in time, they're just nowhere near the sum of their parts at all. It started clicking them for them. I thought against Man City. I think Man City were a little bit lackluster, albeit they scored 4 goals. Reading that what you will, but then Chelsea were good enough to force 4 opportunities in a fantastic game. And then the Tottenham game, what Daryl hinted on, it was 4-1, but was it really a 4-1? The fact that they struggled to break down 9 men for so long, and even though Postecoglou just wanted to hold that line on the halfway line for some crazy reason. But yeah, I feel like they do have the players to hurt us depending on what team shows up. Simple as they're just a basket case at this moment in time. And that probably is going to make it tough for us, anyone to predict what they're up against. But it's I feel a case of what's going to swing this one way or the other, the options that one team's going to have and the lack of options on the other team.
Yeah, is there an argument, Daryl, that maybe this international break's come at the wrong time for Chelsea, where for us it came at the right time to just get some juice back in those engines that we've so desperately needed. But
juice, brother.
You hit the form, you have a 2-week break. Who knows what comes back after that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think back to last season, how often we were saying this argument, even about us, about going into these international breaks, having maybe just 1, 2, or 3 on the bounce, and thinking, why do we need an international break now when it's going to disrupt our form and all that? And it's almost as if the shoe was on the other foot now, because last season it was Chelsea who were playing extra games in the Champions League and whatnot, and they were going into these games and they would have probably had similar problems to what we're having now. But I would say that our problems are maybe a little bit more unprecedented than that because of the amount of injuries that we're picking up. But again, we had a much gentler schedule last season, so we were able to maintain playing a very solid 11 for most of that season. And we definitely needed this international break, even though we're still going to be missing a large portion of the squad from now for the next few weeks, and then leading up into Christmas in this horrible schedule that we've now got to face coming up after this game. And again, I think we'll see just how vital the break's been for us. And I think we all hope that everything's all right with Kieran Trippier, but he had to leave the England squad. That's technically almost a bonus for us in a way, in a cruel twist of fate, because it gave him an extra few days back with us at Benton for training. And the Brazil boys played last night, so they'll probably not rock up until early or late tomorrow, and then they'll have Friday to train as well.
You could argue that Joe Linton getting sent off was a blessing in disguise for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
It got him rested a bit more, didn't it?
Yeah, true. And Miggy didn't even have to fly out to South America with Paraguay this time around with his strain. So we'll see what happens, and obviously we'll have to wait and see what Eddie has to say on Friday in the presser.
Yeah, and that's one thing to remember when we move forward here, that we're doing this before the press conference on Friday. We'll touch on our injuries in just a minute, Matty, but Chelsea have got a fair few as well. I think a lot of teams have a fair few injuries. I don't think we're the only ones struggling here, but from what I saw on premierinjuries.com, which is where I get my injury news, they're not a sponsor, by the way, 8 injuries that Chelsea have. Fofana, Chilwell, Lavia, Colwell, Gusto, Nkunku, is it Chavala, and then Chukwuemeka are the names on their list. I think a couple of those are due back. I think as we went live, Fabrizio Romano, everyone's favorite ITK, put a picture of Nkunku putting some boots on, saying that he's closer than we think. So maybe he could come back this weekend, which, Daryl mentioned the pace in the summer series. He was one of those boys who was causing us some trouble with his pace.
Mm-hmm. Just you reading that list of injuries for Chelsea, it just tells you about like what's gone on at Chelsea, like these last couple of like transfer windows. Because I was like,
who
signed him? Like I was like, Nkunku, yeah, I remember they signed him. And I was like, Lavia, I was like, oh yeah, signed him, didn't they? And then like even though they signed Moise Caicedo, like what? And then you forget about Chukwuemeka and all these players. And then I'm looking at the starting lineup and I'm like, what is going on there? I know this has been talked about loads, right? But like, what actually is going on? Because they can't even fit these players in the flipping team, man. I know I'm looking at the bench from the last game, and like there was quite a few young'uns on there. I say that as quite a few young'uns. Some of them might just be some absolute random player that just decide they'll just sign for the crack, who I've just never heard of. But yeah, they've got $1
million down the drain. There you
go. Who's that? Sorry.
Just one of them random youngsters. I don't know.
Yeah, just found him behind the sofa, covered in fluff, get him on. But yeah, just at least all these random players that I've just forgot. The Benoit Badiashile, who, by the way, if you followed my crew save on FM, of course you didn't. Oh, he was my captain. He was absolutely amazing, and he's broke my heart by going to Chelsea. But Armando Brogi is there. Like these players that are just. I've had good seasons in the Premier League in the past, and like are just there existing. Like it's crazy, but they've got their own injuries, but I mean, again, on paper, they've got the players to replace them as well. So I don't know. I'm sure, I'd take what we can get, and I'd rather that none of them players be fit to play tomorrow. A few of those players are certainly players who can affect the game in an attacking sense. But I think there's not really much to say about Chelsea's injuries because we know where we're going to arrive in this conversation, and that's all about the absolute hell that's going on at Newcastle.
Well, the black and white ambulance is about to pull up and arrive, Matty, because we will turn on to the Newcastle injury list. I don't know if anyone was quite ambulance bound, but been some pretty bad ones, Daryl. It's there's light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not a very bright one. I think from what I saw today, and again, like I've said, we're doing this before Eddie's presser, Isak, Shaw and Miggy should be back. And I think there was one more, but I can't remember who else was on that list of should be back. And then I think we're looking at maybe a week or two for Harvey Barnes. And then it's going to be slowly more and more of these players are going to come back. And there are some that are out for a little bit longer, which would be nice when they come back in January or February, whenever that is.
Yeah, I think to add to your list there, I think they're still assessing Sven Botman, but I think they're going to have to do a bit of trial and error with him from listening and reading a few things this week. They need to work out what's causing his flare up with his knee, and they haven't quite worked out what it is yet. And the only way they're going to find out is if he plays again and seeing how he reacts to playing these games and getting minutes in that knee of his. And I saw a picture this afternoon on X/Twitter/ whatever Elon's calling it this week, that Jacob Murphy's back in the gym as well, which is a really positive sign considering the hell he went through with his shoulder.
He's just not doing any shoulder raises.
I want to see us take the field with like 10 players, and then like an ambulance back into the corner where the lasers meet the Milburn, and then like some music player like a wrestler who's coming back from injury, or who's been like put out. Like many AEW fans, MJF did it a couple of weeks ago, and you just come in and then they come out the back of the ambulance. There's loads of smoke and that. Run on.
Like when Kane got injured by Seth Rollins and he turned into Demon Kane in the back of the ambulance and burst the doors open.
Exactly. We could have a Demon Isak. Put Isak in the back of an ambulance. And come back wearing a mask and shooting fire from his hands.
I
mean, we do have Salah as a club sponsor, so anything could happen.
Exactly.
I mean, if anyone from Salah's watching, and the one idea is, you've got 2 wrestling fans here who could probably give you a lot of stuff, a lot of food for thought when it comes to how to reintroduce a player into the fold. It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Just one to think about.
It is. It certainly is. Matty, mate, you know what else they could do? They could just drop them in via drone.
That's what I'm saying. Drone ambulance.
The drones. Yeah.
Exactly.
A drone ambulance. Wow. Okay.
Come on.
Anyway,
we are straying way off topic. Let's talk about the players who are fit, Matty. Obviously, you know, when it comes to the goalkeeper situation, I think we're all in agreement that it's going to be Nick Pope, although he's come under a bit of stick of late. You know, he's had maybe a couple of not bad performances, but individual errors at certain points in games where people have maybe started to question him a little bit. I don't think anyone on this channel has, but it has been on X or on whatever you want to call it these days. Is it unjust? Is it unjust criticism?
Yes. Next question. I've talked about this before. Why did you let me go? I'm not going on about it again. Like a couple of previews ago, I said I don't know if it's a Dortmund preview or what. I can't remember. I didn't even do the Dortmund preview, but it was one of the previews. I said about how much Nick Pope has done for us and how much credit he has in the bank and how much he has pulled us out the shit and how many saves he's made. And I know he's not that good with his feet, but it's like. There's people in our group, our circle of friends on this channel. There's a couple of people who've said Dubravka's better, and I'll just tell them where to go. They're silly. They're just silly. It's mental. These short memory people. There was one in the comments, the last one, and I'm sure we'll jump in on this one and do it. We like the interaction, but he was like Dubravka all day of the week for me. Well, I'm glad I don't live in your calendar, mate. It's just look, opinions, but. Nick Pope is a massive part of what we did last season. Still a big part of what we've done this season. Should have caught the ball against Wolves. Totally understand that. Shouldn't have got sent off against Liverpool last season. But my God, there's been, if you go to individual errors in terms of chances missed by strikers and errors by Pope, they all make mistakes. It happens. It's not on a game-to-game basis. And look, it literally would have been 6-0 if it wasn't for Nick Pope last Saturday. And I'm not saying that's a great, testament to him that he stopped it from being 6-0 and it was 2-0. But my God, what are we doing? This is what I'm talking about. We've grown at such an exponential rate that we're talking about a keeper who had a massive effect on our season last season, in his first ever season, to now being this keeper who's not going to take us forward, this keeper who needs to be changed, this keeper who should be one of the first priorities out the door. I just don't know what world we're living in. I think we've just been spoiled a little bit. I think we need to take stock a little bit. I'm not saying that I want to accept mediocrity, but by no means am I going to punish a good performance either with verbal nonsense. So, well done, Scott, for asking me the same question 3 weeks ago. But, Nick Pope's the boy. Nick Pope is the man. I love him. And whatever. He makes a mistake, but who doesn't? And finally, and tell me what keeper you're going to buy as well. If you want to put something in the comments, and tell me, and be realistic, because the last person who was the one you could buy was feckin' Onana, and he's not exactly lit the world on fire. So we're not going to spend £100 million on a goalkeeper. So tell me, realistic, who are we going to sign to replace him?
And Arsenal aren't going to sell us Ramsdale, no matter how much. No. And I don't think he's much of an improvement, to be honest. Yeah. It's probably horses for courses.
No.
In option C, if you're telling me that Dubravka should be starting over Nick Pope, then I don't want to tell you. I don't. It's as if Nick Dubravka, his brother.
Nick Dubravka.
No, Nick Dubravka, his brother. Martin.
Married into the family, though.
Yes, he did. Yeah. He's always had a mistake in him. I know he's quite good with his passing, but again, he's always had a mistake in him. And I think, I think we're just talking nonsense. But hey, man, this is just one guy's opinion. So,
well, we'll move slightly further up the pitch, Daryl. Defensively, there is a little bit of a selection headache for Eddie Howe, and it's on that right wing back position, because obviously you've got Kieran Trippier, who we all know what he brings to the table, and you kind of question anything that he does because it is all 100%. But we've also got Tino Livramento, who, when he gets his chance, he takes that chance every single time.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, I think the answer lies in the fact that Dan Burn is injured and Lewis Hall is ineligible for this game. So the answer is therefore everybody's favorite. Well, I know it's not everybody in the group chat's favorite idea, but Trippier to left back and Tino at right back.
Also, Matt Targett's injured as well.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. So there you go. Your options are getting really limited on that side. So I think
it's still injured. He probably still is, isn't he? He's
injured. No, I think he's all right, but I think Eddie would rather play Trippier there. And I think it's probably the simplest solution, and just do that. Get him in.
Yeah, and I think obviously the other thing to bear in mind is, and we'll do the preview for the next game before it kicks off, but we do have Paris in a space of 3 games, 3 days, after this one. These fixtures are coming thick and fast, like we said. Matty, when it comes to the middle of the park, obviously, the 2 Brazilian lads have been away. Bruno, I think, only played one half of football in the last game, and then Joe Linton came on and played however many minutes it was before he got a red card for not punching someone in the face for doing nothing. Yeah. Do you expect any of those to start, or do you think it'll be maybe a Willock, Longstaff, and Miley centre 3?
Nah, I don't think so. I think I fully expect them to start. I expect Willock and Longstaff to start as well. That's my prediction. Miley's got something about him. I like the way he carries himself. He's mature beyond his years already. He's not shying away from the ball. Big, tall lad. I just think that football and maturity is going to come in time. But I just don't think, just given how the game went against Bournemouth, I think they want as much experienced players on the pitch as possible. And even with Paris in the pipeline, which just the hand we've been dealt. We can't, unless we score a couple of goals and somehow see the game off early, which is doubtful. You're not going to be able to manage the squad much. You might see Miley come on for legs in midfield, but my opinion is that you're going to start as many first team players as you can, and I think that will involve seeing that Joe Linton Willock dynamic again on the left, which it's something we're starting to see again, which I love. Absolutely loved that last season. And then you'll just have Bruno and Longstaff. I mean, I know we heard that Longstaff was carrying an ankle injury. Hopefully the time off's done him good, because he is, as we saw last season, so important to us. When people think he isn't, as soon as he's out of the team, that's when it's glaringly obvious how important he is to this team. So yeah, I think midfield is just going to be nothing new. Hopefully it's not going to be forced into anything as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Obviously, you don't want to pick up any more injuries to this list. And I think Eddie Howe would probably put his fist through one of those nice new glass panels that they've installed on the touchline where they sit, if anyone else went down injured. Obviously, I think when it comes to striker, I think we've only got one option, and it's Isak. The one question would be, though, Daryl, obviously, you got Miggy coming back, and we're kind of seeing Joe Linton play on the left a little bit with Willock, as Matty said. Does Anthony Gordon get a little bit of an extra rest in this one? Play Miggy on the right, Joe Linton on the left, and then bring him on if it's needed, or even bring him on to replace Isak, who maybe can't play a full 90 yet because he's still come back from injury.
Yeah, I think for me, and I'll just quickly go back on the midfield in this as well. I think the midfield for me would be Bruno, Longstaff, Joe Linton, and I actually think that Willock will start from the bench. I think the front 3 would be Gordon, Isak, and Almiron. The mention of Isak as well is because he's coming back from the injury that he's had. It's a bit of a gamble to try and risk him to then expect him to play against Paris midweek, and then obviously Man United coming after that a week from Saturday as well. So it's a really big test for him. And I think, like Matty said there, that if we can somehow see the game off, as unlikely as it is, if we can see the game off early and be in a position to then rotate, then that would then be the perfect time to get Isak off and keep him for Tuesday night against Paris. Likewise with Anthony Gordon, or move Anthony Gordon in and then be able to bring Joe Willock on. Maybe rest one of the midfield 3 and give Miley some minutes. It's going to be really interesting. And again, we are limited in terms of squad rotation and squad management. And we really already know what the casualty list is like if you try and run everybody in every game. And like we've mentioned earlier, that schedule that's coming up now with the 10 games in 31 days is just going to be so intense, and it's really going to take its physical toll on the squad. And we struggled. We have, we have to be honest, we have struggled up until the international break with managing those games with unprecedented injuries. That has to be said. So hopefully we can get the other lads or some of the other lads back ASAP, so that we have these options and we can prevent a repeat of that scenario again going into Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I don't think there's anything more that needs to be said other than predictions. Daryl, I'm going to stick with you this time because I saw Matty shake his head. He's like, "Don't come to me." I can tell in your eyes, Matty, you were saying, "Don't come to me." So, Daryl, I'm going to stick with you.
Yeah.
What's your prediction for this one?
2-2.
Ooh.
Yeah, go with the score draw.
Elaboration, or are you just 2-2? That's it. See you later.
I have a
Let's go
funny
for it.
feeling we'll probably be able to go ahead, and then unfortunately we'll have to try and manage the squad, and then the changes that we make may come back to bite us a little bit, and Chelsea will be able to take a late advantage like they have done in previous games and claw it back for a point.
You take a point.
He's at to score though. He's at to score one
take a
at
point
least.
At this day and age. Matty, I'm coming to you now. Oh,
he's muted himself.
You're on mute.
Like I'm on a call at work. Yes, I'm back in the room. Yes, I feel like this is going to be like an unjust Chelsea win. Like, do you know those ones where you just annoyed at it? Like, not annoyed at the players, not annoyed at the manager for his selection, not annoyed at anything at the performance, really. Just quite similar to, not Bournemouth, because Bournemouth, like, they played the team in front of them and they got the win. We were poor. We were ravaged by injuries, totally knackered, but we still played pretty badly. So you have to still give that. I feel like at Chelsea, it's just going to be like, they're doing their best, man. But it's just, and then they just sort of get some scabby couple of goals or something. I'm going to go 2-0 Chelsea, but like, it's not, I don't want to. And I'm not saying it's not like my old negative ones where I just think we're going to get beat all the time. I just think it's just the way things are and the options Chelsea have. They'll be, I know it was an international break, but they'll be coming back from getting at least four goals against Man City, the late equaliser as well. They're starting to feel like that, they're playing well against the big boys now, and it'll be one of those ones where they come to Newcastle, and I just feel like they're going to win, and they're going to act like it's some sort of massive victory when really you're playing half team. But you can only play the team in front of you. I don't want to be celebration police at all. But yeah, in my heart, I want to say, like Daryl said, we score first, and it's like, oh wow, lift us, and anything can happen. I want to hope that one of those, fairly physical players they have in the centre of the park, like Casado, might get a red card. I don't know. But I think we need something like that, a decision to go our way. And I'm not saying we haven't had decisions go our way. If there's any Arsenal fans watching, it has been 18 days. Everything's going to be all right. But yeah, I just want something to go our way so we can sort of get a hold on the game. It's just going to be really tough to sort of, but we need to certainly do better than we did against Bournemouth. But I have full faith that they have the ability to do it, even with the players that they've got at their disposal. And of course, I have no doubt in this manager whatsoever. So we'll see. But I still think that Chelsea might just get a win on this one.
Yeah, it's interesting you said red. It's interesting you said red card, and there's no Kai Havertz and there's no Dan Burn on the field. Kai Havertz plays for Arsenal now, and Dan Burn is injured. So we'll see who else picks a fight. Although the Brazilian boys may not like playing the
I'll tell you what,
the Argentinian lad that they've got in the middle.
Joe Linton and Enzo might get into it.
They might too. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, because it kicked off, didn't it? Kicked off big style.
Yeah, big style. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. That could just be water under the bridge when it comes to club versus country. We'll see. For me, I'm envisioning a very possession heavy game for Chelsea. I think they're going to have a lot of the ball. They're going to really press us quite badly. But I picture a smash and grabs. It's kind of similar like the Arsenal game. I think we'll nick a 1-0 win.
Isaac Hayden.
Yeah.
He's coming back.
They want to play from Belgium. He can come out the ambulance.
We'll get the drones. I'll pilot from the Netherlands. I'll fly over to Belgium, pick him up.
And everyone's like, to return an injured player. No, that's Isaac Hayden's music.
Isaac Hayden. And then we'll get a fine for however much we're fielding a player that isn't registered. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. No, I think it'll be 1-0 to Newcastle. But I think it'll be, like I say, a bit of a smash and grab. I think it'll be all Chelsea through most of the game. And then, as Chelsea run out of ideas, which obviously not of recent times, but they have seemed to do that in games up to, probably before the past 3-4 weeks, where they try a lot and they just don't. Nothing really comes off for them. I think that's when we kind of, maybe the change is made. Eddie Howe brings on someone with a little bit of pace, who's got a bit of energy, and we'll get a goal nicked. No controversy. That's all I want, though. Can we just not have VAR on this game, or anything like that? Just solid decisions, decent refereeing.
Why are you worried they're going to get another decision right, like they did last time?
Do you know what? I'm not bothered about how the decision goes. I'm just sick of the dial-ums on Twitter.
In all honesty, from a football and fan perspective, I get it. We're all poking fun. We've all been on the different ends of it, though. I think people need to realise this. Boss crying words like conspiracy.
Crystal Palace
last season, Crystal Palace, who were one of the first ones to get on those lovely little apology letters for a blatant mess up, one of the ridiculous decision that cost us 2 points. But it is.
But we didn't release the statement ourselves, though. That's the difference.
Yes, exactly. I think that's the point. I mean, look, it's all. But like I said, it's good to poke fun, but some people just honestly, like if it happened, shoe on the other foot, the exact same thing happens to Newcastle, there'll be sections of our fan base going absolutely wild. Like, let's face it, simple as it's the way it is, and obviously we want better officiating. But bloody hell, I still feel I have no hope of it now. So may the cards fall where they fall. If that's is that the saying? No, who cares?
If it's not, I'm taking it because let them fall.
If it's not a red card for one of our players, but
well, if the referee drops a card, just hand it to him. Don't show him the yellow card, like I think Gaza did many years ago and got booked. Yes. Well, we will draw a line under this preview. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks, Daryl, and thanks, Matty, for joining me on this Wednesday evening. Let us know in the comments below what you think the score's going to be. What do you think the lineup's going to be? Are you a Chelsea fan? Do you disagree with anything that we said, or do you agree with anything we've said? Let us know in the comments below. We embrace the interaction. We encourage the interaction. Bring it on. If you've liked this video, scroll down from it, hit the little thumbs up button. It goes a long way to get this video into the stream and feeds of other Newcastle and Chelsea fans. While you're there, hit the subscribe button and you will get a plethora of Newcastle United content from this channel. And if you want to go one step further, you can also become a member. It is $2.99 a month or $4.99 a month, depending on what you want to pay. And that gets you early access to videos like this, exclusive content on the channel as well. You also get access to the Telegram group and the Discord server. Call of Duty's out now, so I'm going to try and arrange some Call of Duty multiplayer games with some of the lads on the Discord server. So hopefully we'll get some multiplayer games going on. If anybody wants to join, you're more than welcome. Boys, thanks again. It's been a fun one.
Welcome. You're always welcome, Scott.
I've missed doing these. It's been a little while for me, but they're coming thick and fast, so I'll be sick of them again in a couple of weeks. But we will see you all.
I miss Sven Botman.
I miss Sven Botman.
So do I. My name is Scott Tomlinson, and I miss Sven Botman. I thought you were going to say something there, Matty.
No, I was going to go. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.